Hello friends, how are you all? Let us start with the next topic, that is GST, Goods and Service Tax. In the previous lecture, I already told you about the revenue collected by the government from the taxes, and now it's only in one tax levied, that is GST, Goods and Service Tax, which come under the indirect taxes, and the Goods and Service Tax came into effect in India on July 1, 2017. It was proposed by the Kelkar Task Force on Implementation of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act in July 2004. See the history given here. It is applicable from July 1, 2007, and it is comprised of, see, the amendment in the Constitution Act has been made for to apply this. Amendment means a change that should be in favor of the, first the amendment is proposed, in that after that it is to be placed in the assembly, then the voting is there, and when this act is passed, then it is applicable to the each and every people. Okay, so let us see here what is meant by this. The 101 the 101st Amendment in the Constitution Act 2016 provided for the constitution of Goods and Service Tax Council, GSTC, comprising the Union Finance Minister, the Ministry of State, and the Finance Ministers of each state. That means, see, the each state government is also involved in this, and empowering the council to make a recommendation on the GST rates, exemption threshold of the tax, etc. All this come together to decide what is the GST and how it is to be applied. Okay, GST is different from an excise or sales tax imposed as a single stage levy on a manufacture or sale of a product. That means before GST, there is an excise duty and sales tax. It is imposed on the manufacturer, on the product manufactured by a manufacturer. But now it is only a GST is charged. GST would replace the taxes levied on and collected by the center and state. As such, central excise duty, service tax, additional duties of customs, state value added tax, entry tax, entertainment tax, etc. That means all these taxes has been abolished, and only one tax, that is GST, is to be levied. Then it is of the two types, CGST and SGST. Central Goods and Service Tax and State Goods and Service Tax. It is a tax levied on interstate supplies of both goods and services by the central government, which will be governed by CGST Act. That means this CGST is levied on interstate supplier. Interstate supplies, that means, just like if the mangoes are going from Maharashtra to Gujarat, in that case CGST is to be levied. And state goods tax, SGST, this tax is received by the state in which the goods and services are consumed, and not by the state in which these goods are manufactured. Just like continuing with the same example, mangoes which are to be distributed in the Maharashtra, in that case it is SGST is levied. Okay, now the integrated GST, IGST, it is a tax levied on all interstate supplies of goods and services, which will be governed by an IGST Act. Okay, these are the main concepts of GST, that is CGST and SGST. The tax is the rate of tax is same. It is exactly divided in two parts, that is CGST and SGST. That means if the in GST is 18%, in that case 9% is for CGST and 9% for the SGST. And the rate of the GST is is to be levied, or it is to be fixed according to the goods or commodities that has been defined in the CGST and in this GST Act. Okay, what are the expected benefits of GST? Its creation of unified common national market for India. That means the market has been unified. That means only one tax is levied all over India, so that the prices of the goods in India are near about same. they will not change. Boost to foreign investment and Make in India campaign. Foreign investment, it attract the foreigners to invest, or we can say foreign companies to invest in India under the Make in India campaign. Make in India campaign, I think all of you know about this, that the goods and services and whatever the things they are manufactured in India and sold in India and other countries. Harmonization of laws, procedures and rate of taxes. Harmonization, that means a simple way of taxation so that each and everyone can understand the easier calculation of the taxes. Boost export and manufacturing activity, improvement in the overall investment climate in the country, simplifying the tax system. Till date, before this GST, the taxation is very complicated procedure because each and every state charges different taxes. So we have to include all these taxes. But now, from the after the GST, it is has been simplified. Okay, these are the some benefits of GST, and here one example is given of the GST. It is just a bill showing, or we can say sample showing GST voucher. Here we can easily say, we can easily calculate subtotal is 3,950 and CGST is, just now I told you, it is exactly the half. That means GST is 5%, then CGST is 2.5 and SGST is 2.5%. You can easily see to this voucher. Okay, I think all of you know about the GST. It's one of the interesting one. You can study it in detail on the internet. You can find so many things about this, so you can go through that. Now let us see the public debt. Like a private individual, government also needs to raise loans. In fact, raising debt is the most common activity of any government because on government expenditure generally exceeds government revenue. Always it is seen that government expenditure is more according to the government revenue, and that's why the debt requirement is there for the government also. And there are mainly two types of public debt, that is internal debt and external debt. When a government borrows from its citizens, banks, central bank, financial institution, business houses, etc. within the country, this is the main thing, that this debt is raised by the government within the country. It is known as internal debt. When the government borrows from foreign government, it is known as external debt. And for each and every government, it is necessary to have debt, because without debt they cannot work. Okay, the distinction is given between internal and external debt. Only 4 points are there. They are very easy. This question may be asked in the examination. Okay, now let us go through the other thing, that is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the means by which a government adjusts the spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence a nation's economy. I just have previously told you, fiscal, it means a monetary policy. Fiscal word जब भी आता है, that means it relates to the money only, and therefore what it given here, it deals with the public expenditure, public revenue and public debt. That means here in this fiscal policy, government has to adjust its spending levels. That means it has to adjust its expenditure according to its revenue. Then financial administration, a smooth and efficient implementation of revenue, expenditure and debt policy of the government is referred to as financial administration. That means whatever the sources of finance are there, it is to be perfectly adjusted so that the expenditure has been reduced and the revenue should be increased, and therefore it is the function of this financial administration. This includes preparation and implementation of the government budget along with overall growth of the country. Again, the budget. Budget means we can say that planning in advance about the future. See, we cannot define the future exactly, but we can consider the possibilities in the near future, and therefore budget has been prepared yearly. It is an important instrument of financial administration through which all the financial affairs of the state are regulated. Every year the state budget and the central budget is to be prepared so that whatever the expected receipts are there and what are the proposed expenditures of the government are there, that we can go through this. Okay, there are two types of budget: capital budget and revenue budget. Let us see this, the definition. Revenue and capital budget, it consists of receipts and revenue expenditure of the government. Revenue receipts are divided into tax and non-tax revenue. Already we have seen that chart. In that chart it is shown that revenue receipts are divided into tax and non-tax revenue. From that government will earn something, and if there is a proper earning, then government will decide how to spend this money. Okay, the second one is capital budget. It consists of capital receipts and capital payment. Capital receipts are government loans raised by the public and the Reserve Bank of India, and disinvestment of equity holding in the public sector enterprises. Loans received from the foreign governments and other foreign bodies, all this come under the capital budget. That means the borrowings from by the government, so that the government has some receipts with him, with it, so that it can spend on the activities related to public or for the public and social welfare. Okay, and thus the government will earn from the budget, or we can say budget is a proper planning from which government can earn the revenue, or we can say it fix the sources of revenue, and so that it can spend on the public welfare. Okay, I think all of you are getting clear about this. So capital budget, again, capital payments refer to the capital expenditure on various development project investment by the government. See, already I explained about this, that अगर government के पास पैसा आएगा तो capital asset create करना है, and for that expenditure should be there, and for this purpose government has to borrow money from the public or from the foreign governments. Okay, so that budget एक बार prepare हो जाए, in that case it will decide how much to spend on the social and community development, defense and general services. Okay, so now today I'm ending the lecture with this types of budget. We will see in the next lecture. Till then, do study well. If you have any doubt, you can put your doubt in the comment section so that I can clear your doubt, and to like and subscribe my channel. Bye.